Hi, everybody. My name is Chelsea, and I'm here to tell my story of how I became a U.S. diplomat, or you can call it a Foreign Service Officer. I want to make this video with the hopes to encourage somebody out there. I think telling my story is really powerful, and hopefully, it will inspire somebody who is watching. So, to begin my story, I grew up in a middle class, working class neighborhood, predominantly African American. I did not know any diplomats, anybody in diplomacy, anyone who got paid to learn languages or travel the world as part of their job. This world that I'm living in today did not exist when I was growing up. I always thought it would be cool to learn languages, but I didn't know that you could get paid to do it. And so I'm going to start my story in high school. And so in high school, I went to a high school that specialized in engineering and in science. When I was in high school, I was not too good at engineering. Science, I did pretty good. I did all right. I graduated with honors, and that was the track I chose because they only had two tracks. And so I remember in high school, I would go, like, especially my senior year of high school, I would go to like this lab in downtown Baltimore, and I would cut like zebrafish mussels and I would analyze them under a microscope, and I thought that was pretty cool. But it wasn't like I wasn't like on fire about it, you know. I did that because it was an opportunity, and I'm really glad I had that opportunity. And so with this like background in science, I go to college and I am like pre-med slash exploratory. But my first classes in college were related to science because I had that science background in high school. And so I get to college, and I remember I had two science classes on my schedule that I can remember right now. And one of them was organic chemistry and OChem. And so I remember OChem. Okay, OChem. I had OChem, and by the third day, I was like, nope, this is not for me. Because I remember there were students in my class, and they would be like writing these long problems on the board. It seemed like everybody knew what was going on. Me, on the other hand, I did not. And so I wound up dropping OChem by the drop bad period. And then I also had biology 101. Woo! Biology 101 was that class in college where I worked so hard to get a C or C minus. I can't remember what my grade was, but it was a C or C minus, and I worked really, really hard to get that C or C minus. And by the second semester of my freshman year of college, I said, no, I don't think pre-med is for me. And so I began exploring. I just began taking classes that I thought was interesting. And a lot of those classes happened to be sociology classes because I was interested in the world. I was interested in the way that people interacted with each other, different groups of people interacted, how institutions shaped our society. I was interested in all of that. So I wound up declaring sociology major probably by my junior year of college. And then I was like a history minor. And so when I was exploring classes like by my sophomore year, I didn't take any IR classes. I'm not sure why I didn't take any IR classes, or excuse me, international relations classes. I just didn't take those classes because during that time I was more focused on the domestic side. I was more focused on what was going on in the United States. I never pictured having a job that would take me overseas. And so while I was taking my sociology classes, I thought I would be either a social worker or I would go on to get my PhD and study something related to sociology. I didn't know what. And I also had like this grapple about like communications. Like I was interested in that subject, but I didn't take enough classes to declare a formal major. And I think it's important to tell you that during this time I always wondered if I would be okay. In the sense that I never knew what I would be doing with my life. I didn't have that clarity. I didn't have that purpose. And I remember I always would call my mom, and on the phone I would be like, Mommy, and that's what I call my mother. I'd be like, Mommy, am I going to be okay? I don't know what I'm doing, and I had this really internal struggle, this internal dilemma that I always grappled with while I was in college. So the summer before my junior year, I took an internship. I applied for 3 internships because I was told that you need to have experience in order to get a job later on in life. So while working at the movies, I applied for an internship. I worked through the movies all through college. And so I applied to 3 places, and I got accepted to one. And that one was the World Trade Center in Baltimore. And I didn't have international global experience or anything like that, but they still took me. And basically what I did that summer was I escorted people from other countries around my city of Baltimore to show them, my city. These people were also experts in their field, and so they met with other experts in Baltimore, and then they went on to meet with other experts around the United States. And I also built cultural programming during that time. And I thought this was super cool. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And during that summer, that was my first taste of public diplomacy, which is what my cone is in the Foreign Service. So in the side note, in the Foreign Service, you have 5 different cones. You have public diplomacy, political, economic, management, and consular. Anyway, so that was my first exposure to public diplomacy, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. But again, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, wow, this is a great experience. That's it. And so now we're entering my junior year of college. This is probably a separate video, but during my college experience, I had a difficult time because, I am from this urban area. I go to school in this rural area. I don't have a car. There's not a lot of people that look like me at my college. And so although the academics were okay, my social experience was kind of hot, kind of difficult. And so I wanted to find an escape. And so one of the positive things that my college offered was a chance to study abroad. And if you're watching this video, if you're in college, if you're considering college, I would definitely say study abroad, because it definitely changed my life. And it's one of the reasons my college and study abroad is one of the reasons why I'm here today. I studied abroad my second semester in India, in Chennai, India, and it was amazing. Like I said, it changed my life forever. And that study abroad trip was like the tipping point of how I got to be sitting in this chair today. So I come back from India and I'm like super pumped. I'm like, oh, I want to find a career overseas. That was like my focus. I began looking at different graduate school programs, because at this time I was about to graduate, I was about to go into my senior year of college, and I found the graduate school program that I actually went through. And the one thing that they said that they required, or that they were looking for, that you had to do to finish the program, was to know another language. And at the time, I had only taken some middle school, a little bit of high school Spanish. I didn't really have a Spanish foundation, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start studying Spanish. And so that summer between my junior year of college and my senior year, while working at the movie theaters, working during that time, I would study my butt off in Spanish. I went from hola to speaking all these different phrases, all these different sentences. And I really studied into, when I returned in the fall, I placed into Spanish level 3. Because I was super passionate. I was like, I'm gonna get this Spanish. I'm gonna apply to this grad school, and so I placed in Spanish 3. I try to figure out what I wanted to do after college, and my sole objective during that time, I kid you not, was just to learn Spanish. And so I applied to these different programs that would allow me to live in a different country to learn Spanish. And so I applied for a program in Spain, where I could teach English, and then I can have the opportunity to live in Spain and learn Spanish. How cool is that? So when I graduated from college, that's what I did. I had 2 suitcases. I knew nobody. I go to Spain. I teach there for a year, and I learned Spanish. I want to stay in Spain for another year, but my contract, it just wasn't renewed. And I was devastated because I honestly wanted to stay, overseas. I wanted to stay in Spain, and I wanted to like learn. I wanted to learn, the language. Why I couldn't stay in Spain, but I really believe it's God, and I'm a big believer in the Lord, and I believe that God had other plans for me, and so I literally like said a prayer, and then the next day I woke up and my friend who was living in China at the time, she was like, "Hey Chelsea, are you looking for a job? Are you searching for a job? You are welcome to come to China, and there's this job at this international startup company for international education." Her husband, who I actually introduced them back in college, her husband knew somebody who worked with the owner of the company, and they were like, "Yeah, they're looking for somebody who speaks English fluently to help them with their work." And I was like, "Cool." And at the time, I never saw China on my radar, but there I go. I go to China and I begin working at this company. I work long hours, but I got to see like the pandas in Chengdu. I was in Chengdu, and I was like able to begin learning Mandarin, and I thought that was really cool. And so at this time, this was like about 2014. I still don't know if I knew about the Foreign Service. I don't think I had. So after I worked in China, I come back to the United States, and one of the jobs that I find is a job working in the study abroad office, and I absolutely loved that job. Like to date, that was one of my favorite jobs, besides the one I currently have now. And I loved it because I was able to help like hundreds of students study abroad, and it just reminded me like of my experience of the impact that study abroad had on me when I studied abroad. So anyways, I worked at this job for 2 years, and I absolutely loved it. After the first year of working there, I found out about the fellowships. I found out about the Foreign Service, and I didn't apply because I didn't think I was qualified. When I read the fellows' bios online, I compared myself to them, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm that amazing. I didn't apply. So the second year of working at the study abroad office, I was part-time and I overworked my hours. And so my boss came to me and was like, "Hey Chelsea, you overworked your hours. You can't stay on like for this time until your hours reset, then you can come back." And when I heard this, I was like, you know what? I always wanted to go to grad school. I I was thinking about, okay, this is now my time to go to grad school. And I was thinking about going to the grad school that I graduated from to work there full time, see if I could find a job where I could work there full time and go to school part time, because if I worked there full time, they would pay for my degree. And at this time, I was like, okay, and I'm going to maybe apply for the fellowship, maybe apply for the Foreign Service. My boss comes back to me and was like, hey, we can make you full time and match the salary. When he found out that when I got an offer at the new school, he was gonna offer to match that salary. But I turned that down because I wanted to go to grad school. That was my plan. And so I get to the new school where I happen to get my graduate degree, and I apply for the fellowship. And I got the fellowship. And so I left my administrative assistant position, which I initially came there for. I took the fellowship, and that became my journey as a Rangel Fellow. As a Rangel Fellow, I had an amazing experience. I had my grad school paid for. I was able to intern on Capitol Hill, and I was able to intern at U.S. Embassy Hanoi, and both of those experiences were amazing, and they changed my life forever. And so I finished the fellowship. I take the FSOT. I take the orals, and now I am in the Foreign Service. I had my first post going to Brazil, and yeah, that's my story. That's my story. Like, I just never, if you would have told me back in high school or college that I would be sitting where I am today, I wouldn't have believed you, because this life was not even on my radar, principally because I didn't know about it. And so I'm making this video to just spread this information, to let you know of these opportunities that are out there. This is my story. This is how I did it. Your story might look totally different, but yeah, this is just my story. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and visit my website, amoustravel.com. I write about all things international affairs and travel and just my journey in life. All right, until next time, I'll see you. Bye-bye.